Table.
Welcome to Creating Your Seat at the Table. I am your host, Ashley Little. A little bit about myself: corporate professional by day, entrepreneur by night, five-time best-selling author, CEO and founder of Ashley Little Enterprises, LLC, owner and creator of Creative Broadcasting, and founder and owner of Talk Radio and TV Network, LLC. Tonight we have an amazing special VIP guest by the name of Luzs Mack. A little bit about her. Luzs is a dynamic, results-focused healthcare professional with 10-plus years of operational experience, performance management, people management, and successfully delivering operational excellence through implementation of broad strategies and policies. Skilled in nonprofit organizations, event management, compliance leadership, and business development, strong program and project management professional with a master's degree focused in public affairs and administration. When she isn't immersed in her career, Luzs enjoys writing poetry and children's books. She is passionate and dedicated to helping young children fall in love with reading and learning through beautiful illustrations. Welcome to the table, the amazing Luzs Mack.
Oh, my gosh, thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
You are welcome. So, Luzs, tell us more about your entrepreneur journey.
Well, it started back in, I want to say 2016. I had just started with my children in private school, and I'm not sure if many mothers have experienced this, but when kids start their journey in private schools, they start focusing on their families and on their friends and, getting to know everyone little by little. So that kind of knowing other friends' families and what their mommy do for a living or what their daddies do for a living, and if they have siblings and stuff like that, made them kind of like look inward and start thinking about themselves. Like, oh, what does my mom do? What does my dad do? Who were they like when they were kids? So it kind of like brought a lot of these questions at home. So inspired by my children, we started just talking a lot about us as a family and us, and it started talking to them about us as kids. And since it was hard for them to visualize some of the things, we started drawing it out, and more these storytelling evenings became a little bit more elaborate. So one evening, my daughter was like, so how was it like growing up in Dominican Republic? And that's when it really like struck a chord. They've never been to Dominican Republic. They have no idea when I tell them my childhood stories. And I started in this journey of creating a book. And that's how my Little Marie idea came about.
I love it. So you're very passionate about writing and giving back to our youth. So tell us more about your passion.
Yes. Like I said, it started at home, but I noticed that even though it was fulfilling a need for my household, it kind of like trickled into fulfilling a need for our communities. So I live in the South Bronx, and there's a lot of immigrants in this community. And there's a lot of families that immigrated here either, you could say, a year or 2 or 5 years ago that are still trying to preserve their culture and a lot of their kind of like their traditions. So what I've done is when I do book readings, a lot of the parents at the end of a book readings will tell me like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for this, because this is very similar to the experience I had growing up. And I'll tell you one example. One of the parents, when I was doing a book reading at a school, and it was open to that whole school community that parents could attend, one of the mothers told me, oh my gosh, my granddaughter never understood what it is to climb a mango tree. So we talked about that, and I let her tell me her experience when she was younger, how well she remembered climbing a mango tree. And it was something so simple and so unique, but it was kind of, for her, it just meant a lot to see that in a book. And another experience I had was when another parent was sharing with me just like having images of kids that look like her when she was a child, and even kids sharing that with me. Like, it kind of like really touched me because I had no idea putting this book together it would touch the people it did, so they could see themselves in books. And I think that is rare. There is a lot of talk about diversity and representation, but we still have a long way to go.
Yes, I love that. I love that you're reaching back and helping our youth and, you know, being able to give our youth a voice to share their thoughts, right, and be able to illustrate how they feel. So I know I kind of already asked you about your passion for going into our children's books, but could you talk more about, like, some of the books that you have and what inspired you to write those books? Like, maybe talk about one or two books and what inspired you to name it, what you named it, what inspired you to create it.
Yes. I have to admit, when I started creating the children's books, I had no idea what I was going to start doing, because a lot of the creation part, a lot of people think it just comes naturally, but it really doesn't. Sometimes you have to just sit down and stare at a blank screen and just type anything, any little thing, until all your ideas start flowing together. When I created my second book, and I'll share this because I don't want people to get this idea like they can't write a book or they can't get an inspiration, because it happens to all of us. When I wrote my second book, Let's Brush Our Teeth Together, I knew I wanted to write a book for my son, but I had no idea what I wanted to write. And it happened one night during bedtime. Our bedtime routine was for us to brush our teeth together. He was really fighting me, and I couldn't believe that out of these little quarrels of him not wanting to brush our teeth, I created a book that made him a little bit more excited, or better, like a little bit more motivated to try to learn to brush his teeth. And this happened a couple years back, but I wrote a book just on him brushing his teeth, and it wasn't a book that was like Little Maria. It was just kind of like a simple book of a mother and son talking about the whole toothbrushing process. Like, you know, let's dab some toothpaste on our toothbrush and, you know, just give it a go. But a lot of my inspiration, back to your question, has come from my everyday life with my kids, or things from my childhood. And sometimes I've picked the names for the books just based on what I've been going through. But it took me a while to get there.
I love it. Well, thank you for sharing that on, you know, what inspired you to do it. And, you know, thank you for sharing with our listeners, you know, that it just don't always just come to you, right? You know.
No, not at all.
So I think sometimes people think that when it comes to writing, but sometimes you just really have to, you know, really tap into your creativity. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
So what is some strategies you would give to listeners who are interested in writing children's books? What is some advice, some strategies you would give to those listeners?
Yes, and this is a strategy when I did my first couple books. I noticed a lot of people came up to me asking me questions. How do I get started on this journey? How do I think or consider about writing a book? And they'll tell me their ideas, and I'll listen intentfully. I just want our listeners, and also anyone that's inspired to do something, to just really believe in yourself. Just know that this is not going to be an easy process. Be kind to yourself. And I know that sounds so silly, but it's so true, because sometimes people will be dabbling on things and they'll like scratch it out and throw it out because they just don't believe in what they're doing. But it takes time. And the reason I'm sharing this is because even my first book, it wasn't like the first draft. It was like the first 30th draft before I made that small little book that were 10 pages. So what I did was save every scrap of writing that I put and edits and things like that, and I just kept going at it until I felt it was perfect enough that I didn't want to see it no more, that I could take it to other people to see. So just start collecting whatever you put down on paper and just keep revisiting it and writing and editing until you feel your heart content with what you're looking at. But a lot of writing and a lot of creation is kind of like a self-discovery process. I like to think about it like that, because you're discovering something within yourself that you didn't know you had.
I love that. So thanks for sharing those strategies with our listeners, because we might have some listeners on here that are interested in the children's books. So you also illustrate your own books too, right?
No, what I do is I have an illustrator. Her name is Vanessa Valesa. Vanessa, if you're listening to this, I love you so much. We've been working together now for, I want to say, the past 3 years. My previous illustrator, what I did was draw things, send it to them, and they made it all fancy in their digital computer. But Vanessa is like a skilled illustrator from Venezuela who's been she just has like the right medicine for me, you know, the medicine for my soul. She really understands what I'm going for with books. Even right now we're working on two, actually I say one project, but it's really two projects. So I didn't, I guess I'll drop the surprise here while I'm on the phone with you. We're going to do a third Little Maria book, and it's about, yes, and it's almost done. And we're going to be working on the illustrations, and it's Maria or her classmates learning different types of styles of dances. It's not going to be just featuring one culture. It'll be featuring a lot of other cultures as well. So we're really excited about that. But again, with Vanessa, one of the ways we get to our creative process is that when I finish writing something, we have several phone calls, and we'll go through a lot of storyboards of how we want the images to be laid out and how they look like.
I love it. I love it. So what are some strategies you would give to, you know, children writers who are already in the industry of writing kids' books? What is some strategies you would give to those listeners?
Oh, yes. I would say that one of the things they should start is with a journal. I know it sounds kind of silly, but journaling their ideas, and even when they're already in the process of already creating a book or almost done creating it, make sure they write down everything they've done with it and just keep looking back at it and sharing it with others. A lot of people do not like sharing their work for many personal reasons, which is completely understandable. But you have to share your work. That's how you learn from others and grow from others as well. There's a lot of, even in our local libraries, there's a lot of writers groups that what they do is sit around and share what they're working on with each other. They critique it, they give helpful suggestions, and from there, people either tweak their ideas to make it better, or they could be like, no, it's perfect, we love it as is. So people need to hear those affirmations, and they need to hear those critiques so they could become better writers.
I love that. And I know that you've built multiple tables for yourself, Luzz, but I always ask my guests this question. How did you create your seat at the table?
Okay. Well, I feel like I'm still creating my seat at the table, and I'll explain why. Being Dominican wasn't enough. And I'll say this. It wasn't enough to explain what's my experience growing up in Dominican Republic. I needed to understand other children that happen to identify as me or identify as Caribbean to share their stories. So I wanted to make sure that I capture those stories into what I'm creating. So one of the reasons I say it's not enough is that I still go and meet with local people in our communities or ask people advice on what they think about what I'm creating. And one of the things I do as well is that I have a clothing line that features all my books, and it's T-shirts, leggings, swimsuits, and I made sure that even though a lot of people don't see that I'm also a fashion designer, I asked to join those opportunities to fashion to display my work. And I asked people's opinion because to create a seat at a table, I feel like I need the help and the assistance of our community members. So I wanted to make sure I got everything looking exactly how I wanted it to. I wanted it to represent kids of like Afro-Caribbean descent and kids that look like you and me.
Awesome. I love that. So what did failure teach you on your journey? Because we all have a process, right? So what did failure teach you on your journey, Luzs?
Oh, I'm sorry, can you repeat that one? I didn't hear you well.
We all have a process, through our journey. So
Yeah.
What did failure teach you on your journey? What has failure taught you so far?
Oh my gosh. I learned a lot about working with others, and I know that sounds easier said than done, but just like when I started in 2016, I did it by myself, and I could only get so far, and I only learned so much. And then back when I want to say 2018, I met Vanessa, who is now my current illustrator. With Vanessa, I met a graphic designer, and I met other types of designers and writers. I want to say in 2018, I really came into my own skin and started knowing what being a creative is, because I started learning from other people. So my process changed completely from getting outside of my head and seeing and kind of observing what other creatives are doing. And then I could go back and sit down in my home with my kids and kind of fine-tune ideas I have. It's gotten to the point that my daughter, who's 9, is interested in writing her own children's book, and my husband and I are kind of helping her through that process.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, what did success teach you on your journey?
I'm sorry, say that again.
What did success teach you on your journey?
Some of the things that that the journey has really taught me was to be patient, mostly because a lot of people don't know this. You could put a book together, and it could take anywhere from 3 to 4 months to do the entire process, or the round of edits, the round of the design team, the rounds of just forming the book and putting it out and getting it published. Mm-hmm. Within that whole 4-month process, your book could change over 20 times without you noticing it. And it taught me a lot to be patient with myself, and that mistakes are necessary. And I wish I would have known that back then, because before I used to be so critical of myself when something had a small mistake.
Awesome. Okay, love that. So what can we expect from Luzs in this new decade, in this new year of 2020?
Oh my gosh. I've been really excited. So I mentioned a book called Natalie the Brave that I've been working on. And I know I mentioned this to you in one of our conversations. I'm working on a book called Natalie the Brave that's inspired through a special moment I had with my little sister, Natalie. And it's about a girl that in the book is kind of the heroine, and she saves her big sister from from the monsters that lurk in the dark. Her big sister's scared of the dark, and it's actually it's a very cute and endearing book. And in the book, it'll show some words and sign language to kind of help motivate our kids to learn about other communities. And of course, true to my persona and true to Mack Books, is going to be featuring kids of color in this different community. And along with those books, I'm hoping that I'll be able to feature a new design of a clothing line and dolls.
I love that, clothing line and dolls. Super congratulations on all the great things that you have going on. So when is that book coming out?
We're hoping that Natalie the Brave is out by April. We want it to be out before our third Little Maria, featuring the different types of dance, because this book to me is really kind of like really hitting home, capturing our communities that are hard of hearing or identify as deaf mute or sign language abilities.
Awesome. Well, super congratulations on all the great things, Luzz, that you're going to birth this year. I want all our listeners to know to definitely connect with Luzz. She's somebody to know and connect with. So collaborate with her, reach out to her, and work with her. She has an amazing spirit. I consistently follow you, Luzz, and you have some great things going on. So I'm super proud of you and can't wait to see all the great things that God is going to continue to do in your life this year.
Amen. Thank you. I really have to say that if it wasn't through God guiding me through this and helping me connect with the right people, I would still be like 2016, just in my head, not knowing what to do.
Yes, and I'm a big believer in your destiny is tied to your connections, right? So I'm a big believer in that. And will you please tell our listeners how they can follow you, connect with you, and work with you on all social media platforms?
Sure. So I'm available through my Instagram, which is Luzs Mack Official, or on Facebook. You can find me as Luzs M. Mack or Luzs M. Mack Official as well. Or you could go to my website, www.luzsmack.com. I am very open to receiving messages, and I love to hear from people to know their thoughts, or even if they need advice, I'm always available. And one of the reasons why is not just my story, it's really our story, and I hope I'm capturing it well.
I love it. And how can they purchase your books and everything? How can they do that?
Yes. So my books are currently available via Amazon. You can find me if you type my name. You can find me if you type the title of the book. And also, some of my books are displayed on my website, luzsmack.com. My new books, I will be announcing them on the website soon when they'll be released. But I'm hoping by April 2020, you'll be seeing Natalie the Brave.
I love it. So look out for her new book, Natalie the Brave, April of 2020. Definitely look out. Like I said, be on the lookout. Luzz is going to be doing some great things this year. She's definitely somebody to know and somebody to connect with. So, Luzz, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight.
Well, thank you. You're amazing.
You are welcome. Thank you so much. But thank you for coming, taking the time out of your very busy schedule to share your amazing journey. This is an amazing interview, and I can't wait to invite you back to the table.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and have a good night, everyone.
All right. I look forward to continuing to work with you and collaborate with you in this new year.
I do, too. All right. God bless.
Thank you. So I would like to give a special thanks to my intern, Sarah, from Tennessee State University, and my intern, Vontaria, from Winston-Salem State University. You all may follow me on Facebook at Ashley Little and on Instagram at _Ashley A. Little. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Creating Your Seat at the Table, where Ashley speaks with corporate professionals, celebrities, entrepreneurs, authors, and speakers who are transitioning or have transitioned to entrepreneurship.